All right, so hey everybody, we appreciate you joining today. Welcome to our April webinar. You should all see my screen. It should say Locations and Groups Webinar Series. If you don't, pop a message in the chat and we can help you out. As you're joining today, we do ask that you just go ahead and mute the microphones. We will have some time for questions later, but for now, we just want to eliminate any background noises that might be a distraction for others. So most of you know me. My name's Julie Bright. I'm the Director of Locations and Groups, and today we're going to be talking about grade-specific requests. On the line, we also have our regional liaisons. We have Rachel Wister with Region 1.
Hello.
We have Trish Gardner with Region 2.
Hello.
Rochelle Bergeson with Region 3.
Hi, everyone.
And Megan Erickson with Region 4.
Hi, everyone.
And they're going to be answering questions in the chat, which you should see at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. As soon as I get the slides to work for me, we're going to get rolling here. All right, so today we're going to take some time to discuss grade-specific requests, how they can be placed, tracked, and set up within the system. To start off, we're going to look at what the difference is between a grade-specific request and an in honor and memory of sponsorships. Now, a grade-specific request is a wreath that is sponsored for a specific grave, and information regarding that grave is provided. And an honor of sponsorship is a wreath sponsored in honor of someone who is serving or has served and is still living, while the in memory of sponsorships are dedicated for veterans who have already passed. Now, with all of these options, the donors can choose to recognize the individual with a special message that goes on our Remember page, as well as opting to send a card letting someone know about the sponsorship. The difference is that the in honor and in memory of sponsorships do not place a wreath on a specific grave. Now, for those of you who've been around a while, you're probably all too familiar with people confusing grade-specific with in honor and in memory of request. This is something that we continue to educate people on in hopes to avoid the confusion, and we're actively looking for ways that we can improve that process. Your regional liaisons are always available if you have any questions or suggestions regarding the grade-specifics or the in honor and memory ofs for your location. Now, whether or not a location accepts grade-specific request is determined by the location coordinator. This is managed by the location coordinator in their dashboard under the registration to-dos. The location coordinator has the ability to turn on or off the will accept toggle on their location at any time under the configure grade-specific requirement. Now, just keep in mind that if you are changing mid-year from accepting to not accepting, we ask that you still honor any that have already been placed, and you should always notify your liaison of those changes. If your location is accepting grade-specific requests, this grade-specific option, as you see right here, will not be given when a donor is placing an order. When a donor pulls up the location from the search map, it will also say whether or not that location accepts grade specifics or not. Now, there are many ways for a donor to place a grade specific request. For online orders, they would want to go directly to the group or location page. Just keep in mind that if a donor does not choose a group page, only the location will get credit. So the donor would click on the sponsor wreath button, and then they would choose their location. So for instance, this group supports multiple locations. Notice if I select this location, that grade specific option goes away. And that just shows you how if the location is not accepting grade specifics, it's not given as an option on here, so there's no confusion. So I'm going to choose the location that is accepting grade specifics, and then I would click on the grade specific box, it would then open up a box where the donor and sponsor would put in specific information as far as section, site, and all the information that's needed for placement. Now, on all online grave-specific orders will automatically generate to your grave-specific report that's in your dashboard, and we'll show you how to pull that up in a few minutes. Grave-specific requests can also be given directly to the location coordinator, and the coordinator can choose to add them in their dashboard manually. You can do that by pulling up your grave-specific module, and you would just click on this little plus sign that's in the bottom right-hand corner. You would then be able to add the grave-specifics. Oh, gotta give a minute to catch up there. So you'll then be able to add the grave-specific information in here. Now, just keep in mind that this can only be done by connecting the grave-specific request with the donor's email address that was submitted on the order. So this is a great tool if someone contacts you to say that they placed a sponsorship, maybe it was an in memory or in honor of, and they meant for it to be a grave-specific. You could just go in here, put the information in, put the grave-specific information in, and just make sure you use their email that was on that order, and it will get attached and show up in your report. The other option is to just keep track of those wreaths that do not come through our system on a separate spreadsheet. And I know a lot of our location coordinators, they have their own sponsorship forms where they collect that information and they keep that. They do not send it into Wreaths Across America. And that's actually what we recommend if you have a large number of grave-specific requests that you are collecting from forms that are not going through our system. Now, you can always reach out to your liaison to assist you with setting up those spreadsheets if you need help with that. Grave-specific requests will also not be accepted through the mail. You can make the donation through the mail, but the grave-specific information will not be captured and put into the system by headquarters. And if you're a sponsorship group, you will need to contact your location coordinator prior to the ceremony to make arrangements regarding any grave-specific requests, because those wreaths will not automatically be set aside for you.
Hey, Julie, can I stop you real quick?
Sure.
So what you just said there, are you saying that the group can accept grave specific even if the location isn't?
No. Just like I showed on the sponsorship a minute ago, if a group tries to sponsor a wreath for a location that's not accepting, it's not going to allow it. Now, the same thing with the forms. They would just need to work with their location coordinator first. Now, there are some instances where a group will place grave-specific wreaths, but they're planning on attending the ceremony, and that's something they work out with their location coordinator. That's not something, we would not open that location up to accepting grave-specifics.
Okay, thanks.
Did I give you a heart attack?
No, I'm
Okay.
just asking.
Julie,
Mm-hmm.
this is Beth from Pennsylvania. So, you know, I do grave specifics, or we do.
Cool.
Our groups, I'm not sure, I shouldn't say this. I should know what comes out from headquarters. But some of our groups just assume that because they get grave specific requests, some of them assume that we're going to do them when the volunteers come out on Wreaths Across America Day. Some of the groups, they're all doing different things, and I feel like I don't have a handle on that. Now, not that I haven't reached out to all of my groups through the system, but they just don't answer me. So, so I'd like some, you know, if not now, maybe later.
Yeah, so I think in that types of situation, the best thing to do is get with Rachel or myself. And what we can do is we can work with maybe setting up an individual call with your groups, or do like some kind of training with them, or message with them, you know, we can definitely work with you to get through, to figure out a way around that. Kind of get everyone on the same page.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so now I know that our system has been a work in progress for a while, and I'm super excited about the direction that it's taking and the tools that we have provided our groups and locations with. The dashboard offers several tools like messaging, access to reporting, and as of this year, a newer, easier way to reinstate your locations and groups by simply confirming all of your registration to-dos. One of the tools that we have provided you with is the Gray-specific module, which you can access to run reports directly message the Gray-specific donors. Now, when you click on the Gray-specific module, your list of requests will automatically generate. Give this a second here to catch up with me. And when you click again here, if you click on this search box, this search icon, it's going to pull up a search box for you. Now, in this box, you can search by donor name, veteran name, and you can also filter by whether or not the donor has selected to place it themselves, or if they will need you to place it for them. Now that's going to come in really handy for those of you who have a large number of Gray-specific requests, because you can really drill right down, and then you can message these donors to provide them with instructions for where to meet to pick up their wreath the day of. The list of Gray-specific requests is also available for download, and we do recommend downloading that periodically, just so you have all the information on hand. You can download that report in a PDF file, in a spreadsheet, or in a Word document. After you run the report, you may see that some of the information is missing, like section or site number. And if you don't have access to that information, or you need to reach out to the donor to request it, this is where the messaging of the Gray-specific donors has been a huge success. So when you hover over a Gray-specific request, you would see these three little dots in the right-hand corner. When you open that, you're going to see Select, which is where you can edit the information, Request More Info, which opens up the message box for you, and Set Status, which you can use if you want to keep track of if you have placed it, or if you just need to add comments for your own personal use. So we're going to click on this Request More Information to send a message. And this message that pops up, this is just a template. It's kind of set up to request more information, but you can also clear this out and make it whatever you need it to be. If you want to use this for sending specific information for pickup and all that. And we are looking at adding more templates to this later on, but right now, this is just erase it and it can be whatever you need it to be. Now, I know this is a lot of information we're throwing at you, so just remember that your liaisons, as well as myself, are always available to walk you through this step by step if you ever need. So now the next part may not be helpful to some of you coordinators who've been around for a while. And after we get through this part, we would love to hear from some of you how you handled the placement of Gray-specific wreaths, especially if you found a way that was especially efficient. The placement of the Gray-specific wreaths will really vary based on the size of your location and the number of requests you receive. Someone that has 5,000 Gray-specific is obviously going to handle it different than someone that only has 20. We do recommend that every location coordinator bring a list of the Gray-specific wreaths for those who have donors that are going to place them themselves. You'll also want to make sure that you set aside enough to cover those, plus some extras to handle any issues that may pop up. You should also notify each donor that will be placing those wreaths themselves to let them know where and when to pick up the wreath. You can do this prior to the ceremony by sending a message. You can make an announcement during your ceremony, or you can have the information printed on a program that you hand out during the ceremony. Personally, I would do all three just to cover my bases, but that's just a recommendation. Some other things that locations do to make the process smooth is they flag the graves that will be receiving a grave-specific wreath with either a small American flag or a surveyor's flag in order to help people find them or to prevent someone from placing that wreath so that that family gets that experience. Other locations even choose to have someone available to escort them. Of course, again, these are just ideas that people have found successful. They're not required. What we encourage is for you to just try some different things, find what works best for your location. Another extra thing that some people choose to do is send pictures of a wreath of the grave of, I'm gonna try that again, is to send pictures of a wreath on the grave to the sponsor who was unable to attend the ceremony. So a wreath that, a grave specific request for someone who wanted you to place it for them. Now those photos are not required, but if you have ever been on the receiving end of one of those photos or on the end where you had the honor to place one of those wreaths and you received a heartfelt thank you, then you know the words can't describe the feeling that it gives all the parties involved. And again, not required, just a recommendation if you can do it. So before we move on, we just want to go ahead and open it up now to hear some of your suggestions and also answer some of your questions.
Julie, it's Beth from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, everybody. So we do take special requests. We get between 1,800 and 2,000. Those are rough numbers. What's worked for us well in the past 2 years, we have 3 days before the ceremony that those folks who want to place the wreath themselves can come out so that they can be sure that they are the ones that get to place the wreath in the quiet, serene setting and have time with their loved one. We have gotten such a great feedback from that process because folks appreciate it. You know, when you've got thousands of people coming out to a ceremony, parking's an issue, just being able to see the ceremony. So these people actually, they've really grasped this process and look forward to it each year. So we have the extra step though. If you want to place a wreath yourself, even if you have a grave specific request, because I'm sorry, I have trust issues, the system has gotten so much better, but we've always asked them to send us an email so that we can make sure not to miss one special request, whether it's a side place yourself or whether they want us to place it for them. Does that help anybody?
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. And a lot of locations do that. They have it, they will take the wreath or the grave specific request, but they ask people to email them directly as well. And that's something we can put right on your public page that we have. And that's something the liaisons can help you do with customizing that page to make sure that information's on there so everyone knows.
Yeah.
Hey, Julie, Randy.
Yes, Randy.
I've got to, I guess, I understand. I look at this grave specific as different buckets, let's say. So, you know, the national cemeteries, we have cut and dry location information, grave information, and all that. And then it gets difficult at best, the way I wrap my head around it for other private cemeteries and all that kind of thing. I guess for us, the few locations or a lot of locations that are doing 2,000, 3,000, up to 5,000, 6,000 grade specifics, of getting the online order, which is great. I'm glad we can do that, but it's without the proper information. And is there any way to stop that, for the specific sites?
Mm-hmm. Well, see, and this has been one of the challenges with grade specifics is because there's such a vast difference in all the locations that we have. And it's hard to really filter down to what exactly, who needs what information. But if you go to your dashboard, gotta give it a second here. Everyone's on the internet, so it's a little slow. In your registration to-dos, and look, I'm in yours, Randy. If you go to the configure grade specific requirements, you can set up right here, like what all is required. The only problem with that is we have found that if you have it really like strict as far as like row, site number and all that, if someone goes on there and they're getting ready to place they're getting ready to sponsor a wreath, and they see that they need that information in order to do it, and they don't have it, and they don't know where to go to easily find it, they're going to back out of that order. And a lot of times people just don't come back. You know, they get busy, life gets crazy, you know, pandemics happen, and we forget to go back and order that wreath until after it's too late. So it's always better to kind of capture that wreath. And then if we just utilize the messaging system, we can reach out to them to say, hey, like we need some more information from you in order to be able to find this grave. And that's really the best solution I have for that right now, because like I said, it's hard to really limit it for each individual location other than this, because they are just so different across the board.
Yeah, I get it. And I struggle with this whole thing too, just because of that difference. You know, I don't want to, like I'm sure half of everybody probably here knows that I think I'm spoiled. In fact, I know I am, because I'm at a national cemetery and we get all the information.
Yeah.
You know, it just becomes cumbersome when you're having to go through. I've got 3,000 or 1,000 grave specific requests, and I'm having to go through and go to the grave locator to find the information that's missing. That's all.
Right. And I don't know if you've noticed, but and I should have shown this earlier when I showed the messaging, but when you send the message from in here, it actually, to request more information, the template that's in there actually has the links for the grave databases in there. So when you email this out to people, it's going to give them a link. It's going to like prompt them to update their information, and if they fill the information out and submit it, it will automatically update in here. So it's not like you're going to get tons of messages back with people saying like, oh, this is the information. It's going to just have them fill it out and automatically put it back in here for you. So we tried to, make it a little easier, but like I said, it's, we're always looking for new ways that we can, find better ways around some of the workarounds.
No, I hear you. I appreciate it, Julie.
Julie, I have two questions about emails while you're on that. This is Stacy from North Carolina.
Hi, Stacy.
Hey, so this is my second year coordinating, and I just wanted to offer a piece of information that I learned halfway through last year. Mm-hmm. And I know it's on when you're sending your thank yous to the initial sponsorship, but is it also available on the grave specific ones to tag yourself? Like if you go to the email settings or something on the second tab when you're in a create a message, if you go in there, I think on the second tab you can have it copy yourself. That way you can keep track of who you've sent what. I highly recommend that, because we don't have 1,800 grave specific. I think I would lose my mind, but it did help me keep straight who I had talked to about what by going through that system. Just a helpful hint. Yeah, and the other thing, can you set up a template so when you go through your main report that shows you the different types of sponsorships and you can see that it's grave specific, can you set up a template for grave specific that says I'll be following up with you if I have any additional questions? Like, do we have the availability to set up a separate template for that?
You as the location coordinator don't have that access, but us, yes, we can add more templates. Like I said, that's something we're looking at. So if there is something that you particularly are using, or you think that would be really helpful for other location coordinators, just reach out to your liaison and send that. And that's definitely something we'll see about getting added for you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Anybody else? All right, so before we go, we're going to take a few minutes and go over some of the virtual fundraising ideas that we've provided for you in here. Now, I know that there's a lot of discussion going on right now regarding whether or not people should be seeking donations. And that's really up to you to decide as far as what's appropriate for your area. There's still plenty of time to fundraise this year, and there's still a lot of opportunities to keep your group and locations relevant without directly asking for sponsorships. I encourage you to use this time to focus on the teach aspect of the Wreaths Across America mission. You can do that by inviting kids to pick a veteran from your cemetery and have them research them. You could then turn around and incorporate that into the ceremony, and it gives those kids stuck at home something else to focus on, gives them a little homework project, so win-win for the parents involved. You can also encourage your community to take part of the Pledge of Allegiance challenge that we have going on, and share those videos on your social media pages if you have them. And then we have the virtual 5K races and the new American Strong t-shirt campaign that we just recently released. All kinds of things. And, you know, again, we have the Facebook groups for the locations and groups. It's a great opportunity to come together, share ideas of what you're doing in your area in order to kind of keep things going, and how you're kind of giving back to the community.
Can I jump in, Julie? This is Amber in communications. I want to add to that. This is also a really great time to highlight what some of your community partners are doing. So if you have businesses or partners in your area that support Wreaths Across America come November and December, and they're doing things now to help your community during this time, highlight them. It's a great way to say thank you and to get them that exposure for the work that they're doing. And it's you'll see that we're doing that on the national, the Wreaths Across America official page. We're trying to highlight the daily national anthem with Mission Barbecue that they're playing every day. Our friends at Jersey Mike's are doing a lot to feed first responders. We're going to do make a better effort moving forward to try and find groups and locations who are doing good in their communities, and share those stories. It's a great way to highlight what people are doing to give back to each other. And then come December, people are going to remember that you made that effort to help support their effort. So people are looking for positive, good things to share right now. And so Wreaths Across America has a lot of good things happening in the community. And I think it's a great way to highlight those people. And if you have ideas for headquarters, feel free to reach out to communications team, because we're always looking for other ideas. We're definitely trying to do as much as we can from an educational standpoint. If you're an educator in your community, or if you know educators in the community, I have 2 young kids at home who we're getting emails on a regular basis from educators with links to resources and ways to help keep kids busy. If you have information about veterans in your community, or that you'd like to share with the local schools or local educators, do that. I mean, worst case scenario, they don't use it, but they could. And that's just another way of helping to teach.
Hi, Julie. This
Go ahead.
Hi, Mel.
Julie, are you there? Hi. Julie, Karen mentioned that we've got the program where the children can, the lower grade children, kindergarten, first, second grade, can color the hands that go together to make the wreath. Have we posted that any place so we can share with any of our local principals and teachers?
I can jump in, Julie. We don't have anything that has the hands. We do have the coloring page. We have a coloring page, that the What is a Veteran's Wreath coloring page, and that is available on the website, and we've posted it. I can certainly send that to you. It's a 2-pager. it explains what each of the 10 different bouquets of that make up a veteran's wreath, and they're all different characteristics of our military. And you can color that, and there's a place to leave a message, to write a message to send to give to a local veteran. So we can make that available if you haven't seen it yet.
For my granddaughter that's in kindergarten,
Oh yeah,
I
perfect.
deal with principals in elementary schools. And, you know, I figured it's something else we can give to them, whether they want to use it or not, to give the, you know, the kindergarten, first, second graders another little project to do while they're, you know, sequestered at home. So I'll look
Absolutely.
for that.
It's on,
But,
Mel, if you go to wreathsacrossamerica.org and you go to the menu under resources, I think that's what it's called.
it's there.
You can find, I'm Googling on my page real quick here.
And then I can download that and send it to them, right?
Yeah, Julie, can you pull it up? If you go down to location and group resources, there is under there it is, should be in there. I think we updated it. If it's hold on. It's under the group resources. What is a veterans wreath post coloring page? You can pull it up.
Okay.
It's a 2-page, and you can download that and print it, Mel, or have it and you know, there's a place where you can leave a message. I would encourage people to contact if you want to provide information for, you know, to color something and send something to a veteran's home. I would check with the veteran's home beforehand. Not all of them are accepting mail right now. For instance, the main veterans homes are not allowing, because we were going to push this a little bit harder, and they're not accepting any mail. So just check that before.
Jersey's the same way. Veterans, you know, veterans homes are virtually shut down right now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's right on there, and you can print it and color it. It's a great tool. And there is also a curriculum on the website too. There is a curriculum, and there's a downloadable book, and we have a great video from Mrs. Willie, who's our museum curator. For those of you who haven't met Mrs. Willie, she was a 40+ year educator, and she has broken down the meaning behind all of the words in the Pledge of Allegiance. It's very articulate, very easy for young kids to understand, and very short. And that's a video that we've shared our social media pages. It's a great link to share with people. So all these tools we're trying to post in the private groups, as well as if you haven't seen it and you'd like anything, reach out to your liaison, and we can certainly send you links.
Thanks.
Hi, Julie. This is Kathy from Casper, Wyoming, and I just wanted to share a little something that we're going to do once these businesses open back up. We've been able to host a gala every October that's raised about $50,000 through our auction items and the dinner that we host here in Casper. But one of the things that we're going to do, because we know that this, you know, it's going to be very tough for some of these businesses to even remain in business. So we're going to put like a poster or some kind of a postcard together, so that, you know, whether they open up in the next month or 2 months from now, rather than waiting until October to start promoting the Wreaths Across America, we're going to put a poster together that thanks our contributors and the businesses that have donated with the Wreaths Across America, and it allows those businesses to kind of show that they've, you know, in the past have donated for veterans, and it'll give them hopefully a little boost in the people that come into their store, rather than waiting until, say, October or November. So we're going to try to get that postcard out, and then we'll just once we open the businesses, we'll just deliver that and have them. They'll put it in their windows or in the door, and I think that's one of the ways we're going to thank them, and also hopefully help kind of promote them, and rather than waiting until just before we do the wreath laying.
That's awesome. I love that. Sounds great.
I love that. It's a great idea.
Anybody else want to share any ideas or suggestions before we go?
I guess I have one more quick thank you to whoever suggested putting those flags for the designated veteran. I think what we'll do, we are not, we don't do that here in the cemetery. We have an all veteran cemetery that we put over 3,000 wreaths, and then we have a couple other cemeteries here in the area. And so what we will do, though, I really like that idea of taking a flag. And we have a lot of people, about 1,000 people that come to help us lay wreaths here. And what we'll do is put a flag for those, have the people that are coming and they have a loved one there, that before our big ceremony, they can place a little flag at that site, at the grave of their family member, so that when the ceremony's over, we have usually our United States senators are here, our governor, our congresswoman. And what we found is that we excuse the people after the ceremony, the ones that want to go lay a particular wreath on their loved one's grave. And sometimes we're afraid that somebody else is going to get there before. So whoever gave the idea, we'll put a flag out or give the family members before the ceremony starts a little flag, and they can go and designate that they don't want anybody to place a wreath there. Because it seems like once those 1,000 people start picking up wreaths, we want to make darn sure that the loved one gets to put it on their designated veteran's grave. So I really appreciated that idea. We'll use it in a little different way, but we'll use those flags. So thank you for that suggestion.
Okay, I'm glad it was helpful.
Julie, this is Don in Columbus, Ohio.
Hi, Don.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Going back to what you said just a minute ago about restaurants and people being out of business. The first year I did this, I was really struggling. We got in kind of late in the 11th hour, and we're really scrambling to get donors. And I started going around to businesses, and I asked businesses if they would do a business ad of $150 that we would mention them in the program. And I started going door to door to door, just hoping to generate enough sponsors. And the Dublin Village Tavern, a restaurant here, a woman just embraced it so much so that she helped me by talking to her patrons coming in and encouraging them. And she got me several other business sponsors, which really got me to my goal in the end. And I know this past year, she's very supportive and has continued to be very supportive. And, one of the things I did, and I think you may have seen it on my Facebook page, is I put a message out to everyone, both for Wreaths Across America supporters and anyone on my Facebook page, about how supportive the tavern had been of our efforts over the years, and how dedicated they are. And now would be a good time to show our appreciation by just stopping by. All they have is carry out. The restaurant obviously isn't open, but going by and supporting them. And I think that goes a long way in showing appreciation for the people that have supported us. And it continues to build that relationship. So come December, we've got people out there that remember us and will support us again also.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great time to kind of give back to the people that have, been giving to us, and just recognizing, their support over the years and supporting them however we can. And that's great.
Don, this is Renee from headquarters. Something that we're doing on the trucking side of things is just kind of sending an email out to this is trucking related, but to our trucking communities, and just asking them how they're doing, if they're doing okay, and is there any message that we can send to our followers, whether it's maybe a need or just a show of support. So along the same lines as what you were talking about, Dom, but that's a different way of just kind of, one, keeping the Wreaths Across America message out there, but also, showing your volunteers that you're thinking of them during this time too.
Yeah, I agree. That's good. They're there for us. We should be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And it might be a nice time to check in with anyone that has, your truck driver from last year, just to say hi and thinking of you too. That's another aspect of, they do so much of in-kind work of transporting the wreaths there. It might be a nice little note that anyone could to email to their truck drivers from last year too.
Anybody else?
I think there's been some really great ideas, and I'd love, you know, as if people have other ideas that are working for them in their communities to reach out to us, because we certainly want to help share those. We're trying to use all the tools that we have available to us, from Wreaths Across America radio to the Facebook pages to the newsletter, to try and, you know, reach as many people as possible. We have a lot of different educational tools that we're trying to create as well. We're reaching out to American Gold Star mothers and trying to highlight stories of their children, and, you know, to be able to talk about the character of these men and women, and share that with youth who are home right now looking for things to do online. But if there's other ideas that you have and stories from your communities that you'd like to see shared, please reach out to us. We love to tell them, and we love to hear from different people across the country. So appreciate everybody's help and everything that you're doing to keep the mission going in your communities.
Julie, this is Don again. I got on late tonight, so I apologize. And if this has been brought up, then please stop me. But on our individual web pages, which you were so kind enough to help me set up, since I'm so challenged with this stuff. If someone wants to sponsor a wreath and honor a veteran, they're listed on there, but is there a way that you can design it so that all of the names show all of the time on that page, rather than just a couple? You have to, in other words, if, let's say I have 20 people that wanted to sponsor a wreath to honor a certain veteran, there may be only 4 names showing. They may be all in there, all 20, but only maybe 4 are showing. Can we get it where they would all be showing?
Do you mean like on the remember wall or in your dashboard where we download that report?
Oh, no, on the remember wall.
It's definitely something maybe we
The
can.
dashboard is a completely different issue.
Well, it's definitely something maybe we can look at. Maybe we can have it so that it's like a scrolling, so that it's constantly moving. I'll definitely take a look at it.
Yeah, because I had one name. There was 2 names that were up there pretty much through the whole month, and there was a lot of other people that had donated, and for sponsors, specifically for sponsors, and basically the same 2 names were up there, and that was it.
Yep, and we're happy to look at what we can. I'm sorry, I had a kid that just snuck in, asking a question. But yeah, you just reach out to, you know, myself or Rachel, and that's something that we can, you know, anytime you're having problems with something, we can help you with that. And we can definitely look at a way to kind of make that a little bit more user-friendly for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody takes the time to donate it, it would be nice for them to be able to see it on that page.
Absolutely.
Julie, I think Don's idea is a good one, where, or whoever said, possibly a slow scroll of those people. It's just sort of a continuous loop. You know, some of the locations have 1,000 people. Takes a long time to scroll them.
Yeah.
But if there's 20 or 30, at least you can follow along and see it. You know, the scrolling idea is a good idea, I think, if that can be done.
Well, we'll definitely take a look and let you know if we can.
If there's anybody that can do it, it's you, Julie.
No pressure or nothing.
This is Patrick from Iowa.
Hey, Patrick.
I'll go back to the situation where somebody was putting flags out so that the family members could put their wreath out before the volunteers did. What we do is, after the ceremony's over, I announce and have the family members or someone who has a loved one there, they have 10 minutes to go out and put a wreath out. We actually have to hand the wreath out to every individual, because we ran into problems. People would come into the cemetery before the ceremony started and just pick up a wreath and take it out to the gravesite, and we're putting them out. So we actually have them on trailers and sort of guard them. But then we have, usually there's either some of the state patrol or the rescue squad are up there. And after 10 minutes, they blow their sirens, and then the volunteers can go up and each one pick up one wreath and put one out. But we want to make sure the families have the first opportunity to put them out. The only place we have the issue at all come up is on the columbarium walls. Sometimes the same individual, there's going to be 4 of them on a vertical section, each row. And if the same individual gets out there the first every year, they're the same ones putting the wreath out. And that's where we have the issue is another one on that same row never gets the opportunity to put them out. So I'm trying to address that issue.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something, you know, we run into a lot where if someone goes to place a wreath on a grave and it's already been placed, and, you know, while the act of actually placing the wreath is obviously an emotional one, the bigger point is to just honor that veteran. So we just encourage them, if they really want to place the wreath, they can pick up the wreath that's there, place it on another wreath, and place their wreath, you know, there. So they have that experience. But, you know, just saying the name, taking a moment, I mean, the big thing is that that veteran was honored. Someone honored that veteran. And I would just try to highlight on that to encourage them. Thank you.
Julie, it's Beth from Pennsylvania. I was just going to say, mention about the columbariums when Patrick said that if there are 2 wreaths for one column, we do that. We ask folks to honor their veteran and then someone in the next row. But if there are no wreaths and we have enough for all the columns at the columbariums, which is probably close to, I can't even tell you, maybe 1,800 of those also. We ask that if you place a wreath at the base of a column, that you say every single name in that column so that no veteran is forgotten. You're said twice, great. But Julia, we do, if somebody gets to a grave that they wanted to place that wreath, we just say, pick that wreath up, your wreath, and place the other wreath at another one and say their name as well.
Can you hear me? This is Wayne.
Yep. Hi, Wayne.
At Arlington, with so many volunteers that we get, when we're talking anywhere from 60 to 90,000 volunteers we have, we try to, when they open up the trucks to start wreath placement, as part of our instructions to the truck crews, is they make the announcement that if there's anybody in line that has a loved one buried in the section for that truck to cover, that they come forward first. And the first wreaths that are given out, they have the opportunity to take those and go to their loved ones. And then we tell them that should another volunteer come and had already placed a wreath down on that particular marker, that for the person just to pick that wreath up, place their loved one's wreath down, thank them, say their name, thank them for their service, and then take that wreath that was already placed there and honor another veteran at their, you know, at another unmarked marker, so that the person who wanted to honor their loved one can do that directly and still honor their loved one, but take that one wreath and move it to another unmarked marker.
And I think that's important is the making the announcement during the ceremony. Anytime you can do that to kind of let them know, like, hey, this is what, you know, you should do. And if this happens, kind of gets ahead of it so that it's not so much of a shock. And they, you know, it's such an emotional moment anyways. Just kind of heads that up so that they're prepared for what to do if they get there.
Because with so many volunteers at Arlington, again, you don't know when that person's going to get there. You know, they're going to come in, the gate opens up at 8 o'clock. They might be coming in at 8:30 because of the traffic or the number of people trying to get in. And if wreath placement has already begun, you know, we can't mark the marker in any manner to say, don't put one down here, someone's coming for it. So it's very difficult with a large number of people we get at Arlington.
Yeah.
Julie?
Mm-hmm.
This is Cookie, and I'm in Florida. I just wanted to ask a question on the sponsorship form. The donors are having a problem between the honor and the in memory of. The in honor, they're supposed to add an additional fee, but they get confused and they don't do that. And when I get them, I don't know where, I can't call those people back and let them know that they owe me, $2 more. So I've been putting it in myself.
Do
So
you
I
mean
don't,
for the card? Because the wreath itself is still the same price, whether it's a grace
Right.
specific or an honor or a memory of. There's no
Right.
additional fee for those, for that.
right, no, but it was for the, in honor to send a notice to the family.
Okay.
That's a $2 fee, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
If it's a hard card, now they can send an email at no cost, but for the actual card, it is the $2 fee. So
Right.
for the mail-in orders, that's what you're saying?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
And I get them in the mail, and they don't enclose the $2, and so I write a separate check myself for that. So I didn't know if there could be an easier way for them to see that, or because I know it's there, but they don't really pay attention.
I mean, you could add a note on your sponsorship forms. Like, are you using one of our sponsorship forms, or are you using one
No,
you
I'm
made
using
yourself?
yours. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, and we can take a look at that. Maybe there's something where we can highlight it a little bit more so people catch that extra charge there. Definitely just reach out to Trish, and let's have a conversation about it and see if that's something that we can, help you with.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I think that's about kind of wrap this up. So if no one else has anything, we're gonna call it a night, and hopefully you guys will all join us again next month, second Tuesday of the month at 8 o'clock.